All right, welcome back to my channel. Just wanted to talk today about a subject that I find very common when it comes to the new year. I know this is the second month, but it's a question that happens to come every time we get tax returns for some reason, and that is, what camera should I buy? Now, that question is a hard question to answer because it really just depends, right? For example, I use the Canon C70. I use the EOS R. I am currently looking for another camera. However, my thought processes are different. The thing is that we're so focused on what camera should we shoot on that we're forgetting that the camera's a tool. That's one thing. Let me go ahead and get that out of the way. Second, let me go ahead and also say, ooh, what's this? Okay. Second, let me go ahead and also say, nobody's sponsoring this video. So there are no brand loyalty deals and stuff like that that's going on right now. I just happen to be in Canon, so that's the reason why I'm talking about Canon. So I started out shooting Blackmagic, obviously, well, technically Canon, then Blackmagic, then Z-Cam, then back to Blackmagic, then RED, then back to Blackmagic. Now I'm on Canon again. And there's Fuji in between there and Panasonic. I've shot on pretty much every type of camera, to include Sony. And really, I started realizing that we have such an abundance of opportunities and abundance of cameras that are available. You start seeing these videos saying, is a Canon C70 in 2025 still worth it? It's a camera that came out in 2018. I'm gonna tell you right now it is. Is the RED Komodo worth it in 2025? Yes, it is. Is the DJI Ronin 4D? Yes, it is. The question now becomes, with all this technology and all this stuff that's coming out, right? For example, the Pixels, that's the camera that we've been waiting for years, and it's finally here. But then they bring out the full frame Ursa Mini, well, it's a large format Ursa Mini 12K Cine, and now they got one that's half the price of what the original drop was. So there's that too, and it just makes you wonder why we keep asking this question, what camera should I buy? And the reason why we keep asking this question is because there is so many cameras that is available on the market and that is really good. So, because I am in the market for another camera, I want something that I can travel with easier. And the first thing that came to mind was the Canon EOS R5C. And for me, it's what do? I shoot a lot of photography and I shoot a lot of video. And yes, I could do that on the DJI Osmo Pocket 3. It's a great camera, but it doesn't do everything that I need it to do. Can you make cinematic videos in it? That's a different video, but we'll talk about that later. But yeah, like, I'm looking for another camera, and it's the R5C. I do a lot of photography. I already shoot on the EOS R. I have 24-70 f2.8 RF. And then on top of that too, I have a bunch of adapters that adapt on my FD and EF lenses to the RF. Now, that's what I was thinking. However, things have changed in the past like 30 hours, right? Because with this year being 2025, I know I haven't made a 2025 welcome video. I've been really kind of down in the weeds on being intentional for the things that I buy, right? So being intentional buying an EOS R5C right now doesn't make sense. It's money coming out of my pockets and not like my company's pockets, because it's really what it's going to be really used for. And it just doesn't make any sense to purchase right this second. So the other option is buying a new phone. Buying a new phone will be a third of the price of the R5C, and then buying the depth of field adapter for B-Script and the B-Script case for the phone is going to be around $350. Now, there are so many options to make your phone your shooter. And it's like, well, why would you do that? And it's simple, because it's easy to travel with. I already have the phone. I'm gonna have to have it with me anyways. And with like the iPhone 15, I can do ProRes with ProRes Log, and I can record to an external hard drive, which is their SSDs, which is really tiny now. So it's just one of those things where it's just like, what's more convenient? If I'm gonna spend money, especially money coming out of my own pocket, what should I be spending that money on? And a phone seems like it's just a smarter investment in my opinion for what I'm trying to do. But Back to the question, what camera should I buy? Which is one of the main questions that we get, like as filmmakers, especially when you have people that are new, right? To answer the questions of what camera should I buy, it really should be more of what gear should I buy, right? And to be honest with you, I don't think you should buy any gear just because of what you see on YouTube. I think it should be an educated guess, one that has a lot of research behind it, and you get the most for what you're spending. So depending on your budget, right? That's huge, right? What is your budget? That's one of the biggest questions to start, right? What is your budget? Because if you don't have a huge budget, I would not recommend buying a camera. I will recommend using your phone, buying a tripod or something to hold it, maybe even a light stand, because it'd probably be cheaper to buy a light stand with a phone mount. And I would spend money more on lighting and audio, right? So, and then with the audio too, if you have the AirPod Pros, they have a microphone. But if your budget is like, let's say, we'll say $10,000 for, you want to start a YouTube channel or you want to start making movies and you have $10,000. So I would look at, okay, what is it that you're going to be doing? Like for me, if I would have thought about this before buying my Canon C70, like, first of all, I don't regret buying my Canon C70. I do regret buying my RED Komodo because the Canon C70 was out. And I truly think that the Canon C70 is a better camera than the RED Komodo. My take. I don't regret buying my Canon C70, but if I was doing this again and I was thinking about and looking at everything that I've done over the past 5 years, I will realize that I'm in a small market and I get most of my work as a photographer, and then some of the videography stuff comes with it. But at the same time, I really want to make films and stuff like that. So the R5C is a very, very good option. But the other option that's very good is the Sony FX3. And then the problem with those setups, right, is that once you get that, plus the lens, plus the batteries, plus the media, plus the rigging, you're probably already used half of your budget. The second thing I would say is really take a look at what it is that you really want to do. I can say that the Canon C70 is probably a great purchase for me, even though I know that I do a lot more photography than video, and I would have done that. But see, the situation is I already own an EOS R. So having the Canon C70 EOS R, they're both RF mount cameras too. So buying an R5C isn't too far off for me. But if I was to say buy a Sony FX3 or FX30 now, the ecosystem that I'm in doesn't make sense to transition like that. So there's also that, your ecosystem. Then the last thing I would say is truly, do you want to do this? And if you do, then do it. Are you going to try to do it for money, or is it going to be for a hobby? Because if it's for a hobby, you can do a lot of other things. You can pick a lot of other cameras. And and I don't recommend buying anything, to be honest with you. I actually recommend, if you're gonna buy anything, buy a camera that's like a DSLR or a mirrorless camera, not even a cinema camera, because they're so good now. In all honesty, unless you're going to do this full time and make money, I would say rent everything. If you're gonna do a movie or two every year, rent the gear. And then if you like it so much and you're doing all this extra stuff and you're trying to do all this extra stuff, then go ahead and buy one. I wouldn't recommend buying something that's like $20,000, but like a $6,000 cinema camera, or even if you want to buy something that was $20,000 or $30,000 at one point, you have the used market. The RED Epics now are going for like $7,000. And at one point that was the cream of the crop, right? I think Potato Jet like 4 years ago bought a Arri Alexa Classic full kit for $6,000. And the Arri Alexa Classic, yeah, it doesn't have the resolution that most cameras have. It is a 2K camera, but it's at like 18 stops at dynamic range. And it's just still to this day one of the most gorgeous images that I've ever seen come out of a camera. So at the end of the day, I would say you have to ask yourself a bunch of questions. One, if you're already doing this, what ecosystem are you in? Two, is this something you want to do as a hobby, or is this really something you really want to do? Three, is your phone good enough for right now? Are you trying to learn? Because those questions are the foundation of how you're gonna choose what camera you have. I'm not gonna go to Sony from Canon. Now, if I was shooting on the C300 Mark III, or Mark II or Mark III, and I had the EF mount, I could go to Blackmagic. They have EF mounts. And there's other cameras you could also adapt some of your lenses to it as well. That's a whole different video. But yeah, if you're trying to find out what camera you want to use or what camera you should buy, and it's really depends on who you are and what you're doing. I'm really looking forward and looking into researching how to use an iPhone the best way possible for cinema and for making videos, because that is what I'm gonna do. But also at the same time, knowing that I can shoot really good photography as well and what that looks like. But yeah, I hope that you guys have a little bit of clarity. I know this is like one of those crappy answers that you really don't wanna hear, is it just really depends, because it really is. It depends on what you're trying to do. But yeah, let me know what your guys' like, if you've recently gone through this, or if somebody's asked you this question, what's your, I guess, advice that you give to people to answer this question, because it's a very hard question. And yeah, once again, I appreciate you guys. I appreciate you all followers, non-followers. But yeah, I'll see you in the next one.